Hi, I'm David Gervino with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. September is National Preparedness Month, and we're taking each of the 4 weeks of September to talk about each of the 4 steps of emergency preparedness. So far we've talked about getting a kit, making a plan, and being informed, and today we're going to talk a little bit about getting involved. There's different ways that you can get involved in the community to help your community become more disaster resilient. I actually started my emergency management career as a volunteer, volunteering with the American Red Cross. In fact, I still am an active volunteer with them, although I work here full-time. In my spare time, I volunteer with the Red Cross because I think they're a great organization. In fact, they're a primary shelter partner here in DuPage County. And by volunteering, I'm able to still stay connected with the community in different ways and really be kind of at the ground level, helping people when they need it most, as opposed to being here in an emergency operations center and not being as hands-on as maybe I used to be as a volunteer. And it really gives me a feeling of giving back to the community and that type of thing. So I really enjoy it. And the Red Cross is just one of many examples of volunteer groups that we work with. I'm going to bring on Sabit Abbasi from our office here. And now, Sabit, you work here full time too, but you originally started in emergency management as a volunteer as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I started as a CERT volunteer, which is a Community Emergency Response Team.
Yeah, why don't you explain to the viewers who may not be familiar with CERT teams what those are, what a CERT team is, and how they work.
Sure, absolutely. So CERT, as a CERT volunteer, you'd receive training in a variety of different areas. So for example, you may receive training in search and rescue. So if there's a big disaster, so for example, with the Oklahoma tornadoes, we had multiple teams going out and searching the area. So you may be, you'll receive training in that, as well as medical training. So you are trained in basic first aid and other types of assistance that you can provide for medical emergencies.
Now, Sabit, during the April flooding that occurred just a few months ago, we worked closely with different citizen corps entities. So CERT is one type of a citizen corps entity. There's other types as well, volunteers in policing, medical reserve corps. We worked particularly, in addition to the Red Cross, we worked closely with CERT teams and with our medical reserve corps. Talk a little bit about what we did with them to help our residents during the April flooding.
Sure, absolutely. So we have something called the DuPage County Medical Reserve Corps, and they are volunteers. So they're not necessarily someone who has a medical background, but these are volunteers that receive the training to assist in public health emergencies. Or in this case, during the April flooding, we used the Medical Reserve Corps volunteers to help with the bulk distribution. So we had a number of cleanup kits that were donated to us, and we had these volunteers help assemble them so that we can send these out to different entities and different municipalities so that they can be made available to the residents of the affected areas.
Great. So yeah, we utilized Medical Reserve Corps from that. What about the different CERT teams? I know we worked with several municipalities, CERT groups. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. As different CERT groups, we had, for example, some CERT groups that were going out to other areas which were heavily impacted, and they were assisting with the CERT teams there. And they were going and checking up on people that like vulnerable populations. So we have something called the Operation Helping Hand, as you know, and this is a database that we maintain of residents who have access to functional needs, or who may need assistance evacuating if need be. So as CERT volunteers, they're able to go and check up on these residents.
So maybe someone who has limited mobility, or
exactly.
Maybe they have some type of home care where they're in a hospital bed and wouldn't be able to evacuate their home on their own.
Exactly.
They might have gone to protectdupage.org, clicked on special needs registration, signed up for Operation Helping Hands, and then in an emergency or a disaster such as the April flooding, the municipality, the fire department, or emergency management agency, they might ask us for that list of registrants, and then they might work with CERT members to go door to door to check on these folks.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, thank you, Sabit. I appreciate you sharing your experience with us. So again, we're talking about the importance of getting involved, and it's really important that we do everything we can to make our communities as disaster resilient as possible. The president a couple of years ago released a document that contained a phrase called the whole community approach. And the whole community approach basically acknowledges that the government, we can't do everything on our own to keep communities prepared. It's going to take all of us working collaboratively as one group, whether it be faith-based entities, nonprofit entities, unaffiliated people, just residents in our community, the private sector. We all need to work together to make our communities more disaster resilient. So hopefully you'll be encouraged to go to protectdupage.org. That's protectdupage.org, where you can learn how you can get involved in some type of emergency preparedness, response, and recovery volunteer agency, such as the American Red Cross, DuPage County Medical Reserve Corps, DuPage County Sheriff's Volunteers and Police Services, or CERT teams, or several different other organizations that are out there. Again, in review, September is National Preparedness Month. We've talked about each of the 4 steps of emergency preparedness, which are to get a kit, make a plan, be informed, and get involved. And if you visit us online at protectdupage.org, you'll find out all sorts of additional details about how to get involved. Also, if you missed our earlier videos on getting a kit, making a plan, and being informed, feel free to check us out online at youtube.com/protectdupage. That's youtube.com/protectdupage, where you can find all sorts of emergency preparedness videos prepared by our office here. I'm Dave Gervino with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, encouraging you to get involved.